to shed light about today's meeting and the participation of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, we are very much delighted to be joined over the phone by Ambassador Gamal Bayoumi, former Assistant Foreign Minister. Ambassador Bayoumi, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
How are you, sir? Sir, today President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi attended the inauguration session of the meeting of the African Union Mid-Year Coordination. How do you see Egypt's participation in this meeting, which is on its fifth session?
Very important. As you well know, Egypt is a leading force in Africa. It is one of those countries who established the African Union during the early 60s, during the time of Gamal Abdel Nasser.
Yes.
Egypt was a leading force for independence from the British or the French or the Italian colony. And now we have absolutely the best relation you can imagine, and it is the most accepted face in Africa is the Egyptian face.
Yes.
Some African countries are proud that they have Egyptian history. I visited Swaziland, which is a kingdom,
Yes.
in the 80s, and His Royal Highness the King, in his paper, which is distributed among his visitors, he is proud that he has Egyptian origin. In Cameroon, where I served as an ambassador there,
Yes.
some tribes are very proud of their Egyptian origin, and they are still building their houses in a pyramid shape. Many things like that. But also during the independence time, when we were working together against the British, French, and the Italian colony,
Yes.
we have this relation, very close relation with all the African countries, and we are proud of that also. So let us say that we are on the track,
Yes.
and now we have very active president who is keen to make the best of our African relations and to make Egypt serving all its sisters and brothers of the African countries with our experience. And also Egypt is hosting thousands of Africans to study in Al-Azhar Sharif or in our universities.
Yes.
So, and also we are, whenever wherever we are accepted, and they see that Egypt can be a good arbitrator if there is any fight, whether between two African countries or inside any African country.
Yes. Sir, also presidential spokesman, Councillor Ahmed Fahmy, said that President Sisi is expected to deliver a speech to review the Egyptian plan in light of its current chairmanship of the steering committee of the heads of states and governments of the African Development Agency, NEPAD. What's your take on that, and what's the significance of Egypt's current presidency of the NEPAD?
Our president established an initiative during his presidency of the African Union to combine all the subcontinent groups, the COMESA, the NEPAD, and the East Bloc. So we are now establishing a large free trade area among all the 51 African countries. This is taking its way, and I think it will increase the percentage of intra-trade between the African countries, and this will lead, of course, as a second result, for more and more investment coming, whether from Europe, from Japan, from China. So we are on the right track, and it needs a lot of our efforts in order to make Africa more attractive for trade and investment.
Sir, also the president is expected to deliver a speech as the current president of the United Nations Climate Conference before the Environment and the Climate Change session to tackle the Egyptian efforts in face of the negative repercussions of the climate change on Africa. And of course, we are all witnessing the major changes that the whole world is witnessing in the climate these days. So what's your take on that, and what concrete measures should be witnessed in order to face these very alarming changes that we are witnessing, especially on Africa?
As you well know, Egypt made its utmost effort,
Indeed.
especially when it hosts the conference for environment,
Yes.
27,
The
COP27, and we are still working on this because Africa is very facing unfair situation where we have the largest forests in the whole world, which is producing more and more oxygen, while the other countries, the developed countries, whether the United States or Europe or China, are producing nitrogen and other gases which are not very good for our health.
Yes.
Same time, Africa is seeking for finance in order to maintain its policies to keep our environment in a good situation. This is a huge effort, and Egypt is on top of this, and then we are doing our best. I hope that Africa can attract more and more finance to help it to seek all these goals, inshallah, in the near future.
God's will. Sir, also addressing the session, the fifth round of the African Union mid-year coordination meeting, Kenyan President William Ruto said that the EU is working on boosting integration among the African states to achieve developments. What more could be done in order to achieve this integration among the different African states in order to reach real development on the ground?
We have many files to work on.
Indeed.
First, transport. We are on the point to establish many roads and to establish new ports and to widen our ports, which is not ready to receive big ships. Our airports, our airlines is not covering all the African capitals. And we are trying to establish a road between Alexandria and South Africa.
Yeah.
All these efforts. Also, our banking system needs to be ameliorated. We don't have first-class banks in the country, very rare. Many things have to be done. And on top of this, the bureaucracy. We want to learn how to treat a good investor and a good businessman in order to attract him to come and invest in our country.
Indeed. Sir, how do you evaluate the achievements achieved so far in order to achieve that integration? And are you optimistic about achieving further cooperation and integration in order to reach the required cooperation and development?
I am always optimistic whenever you have the decision in order to do the job.
Indeed.
But I must confess that the job is not easy. We have big challenges we have to face. But the good news that we are on the track. We know already how to describe our problems, and we are on it.
Yeah.
So we are gathering ourselves in order to make a collective effort in order to face all these challenges.
Indeed. Sir, on the sidelines of the African meetings as well, President Sisi will hold talks with his Kenyan counterpart, William Ruto, to discuss mechanism for enhancing bilateral cooperation and enhancing the African joint action with the aim of pushing forward the process of development in the continent. How do you evaluate the Egyptian-Kenyan ties, sir?
This is the big issue, and it is at the end, it is the last goal we are seeking in order to have good bilateral relations with every individual African country in order to make our life in trade and investment much better. And we have a sort of long road to cross until we are saying that we are satisfied. Still, we have big opportunities, and I think Egypt can do it.
Yeah.
And it is a matter of continuing these efforts, and I am glad that the president himself is on top of the decision-making process. So we are happy that the president himself is after it, and we shall see, inshallah, in the near future, much more development process in all these fields.
Yes. Are we optimistic about how the free trade and integration among the African states is moving, or why we are still late in the free trade agreement implementation on the ground?
No, as a matter of fact, I am optimistic, and why? Because
Yes.
the experience in the COMESA, for instance,
Yes.
which combine of 21 countries, is very good. Egypt tripled its exports to Africa during
Indeed.
its membership with COMESA.
Yes.
And our trade balance is in our favor.
Indeed.
We are exporting much more than we are importing. So I think that this success can be exported on the level of the whole African free trade area, which will be of 51 African countries.
Yeah.
This means all the African countries will be members in this track.
Yeah.
So I am optimistic, but my optimism is based on realities.
Yes.
That we already made small stories of success. We hope that this will encourage us to make the big issue.
Indeed, Ambassador Gamal Bayoumi, former Assistant Foreign Minister. Always a pleasure to listen to your precious input, sir. Thank you so much for being with us. Our dear viewers, will go to a short break, and after that we'll be back to continue our